And with that, from Dresden directly to India, I'm not even sure. Indranil, are you based in Noida or Bangalore?
Hey, Ingo. Hi.
Hi, Indranil.
Hi.
How are you doing? Noida or Bangalore?
Bangalore it is.
Bangalore it is. Okay, great. What's the time here? It's 9-ish, 9:40 p.m., right?
9:40, you're right.
Okay, quite late. So you are the engineering manager overseeing some of what we do with CEP and UXP, and the stage is yours. Let us know what we have for folks in Creative Cloud.
Sure. Okay then. First. I don't see my screen updating.
Fine. Just go ahead.
Okay, fine. Yeah. Okay, the story so far, as we all know, we have been trying to migrate plugins and host applications from the legacy CEP platform to the more modern UXP platform. So just going to go in brief over what CEP is. So CEP, I hope my slides are being updated.
We see CEP and UXP slides. Yeah, and now CEP.
Okay, I think there's a huge lag in when I actually change the slide and when it actually comes up.
Okay.
Okay. So CEP is the common extensibility platform, and CEP relies on the Chromium embedded framework, which is the CEF, and that essentially means that every panel or extension is actually a mini web browser. So this obviously comes with its caveats, with high memory usage, slower startup times, and a lot of redundant processes across multiple extensions. So the current status of CEP as it stands is that CEP 12.1 is the latest release from the CEP team, and it's been integrated in all the major CC applications. And there are no new features planned for CEP in the foreseeable future for now. Okay, so what do we move from CEP to? We move to UXP. UXP is a unified extensibility platform. It's a modern JavaScript environment for Creative Cloud apps. It targets ES6+. It actually targets pretty much the latest ECMAScript standards because UXP is built over V8, the JavaScript engine that's used in Google Chrome. And as and when it adds support for the latest JavaScript features, that usually shows up in UXP. And the advantages of a CP are few of them are very obvious because it's better performant and it's targeting the modern JavaScript support over ExtendScript, which was targeting ES3. And using UXP, you can always develop plugins with rich UI that feel native to the host applications. Along with UXP, we also have the UXP Developer Tools application. So this is a tool that is primarily targeted for all the developers who are building UXP scripts and plugins. And using these, they can execute all this plugin workflows like load, reload, even supporting hot reload, debugging the plugin, and even publishing it to so creating your CCX packages. And then that's the first step before you publish your plugins to the marketplace. The current UXP ecosystem is for all the third-party applications is for the third-party plugins is supported by Photoshop and InDesign. Photoshop supports UXP plugins, scripts, and hybrid plugins. So plugins is the full shebang of where you have all the features that UXP provides. UXP scripts are in essence, it's one single JavaScript file where you can try to run your automation test cases or whatever batch workflows that you have using UXP and the application DOM APIs. And hybrid plugins, these are a bit advanced, wherein you can use C++ code from within a JavaScript. You can compile it and include it as part of your plugins. And with that, you get access to both the performant C++ runtime as well as to much more uh, features that are not usually possible within the current sandbox environment of UXP. So Photoshop supports all these three variants. InDesign is supporting UXP plugins and scripts, and hybrid plugins is soon on the roadmap. Rachit will be updating you on that. Here's what the current plugin ecosystem looks like. So there are roughly around 600 plugins in Photoshop and roughly around 200 plugins in InDesign. Few I've just called out a few of the top 3P plugins that are there. And yeah, just a caveat that this data is not just from the marketplace, because we see a lot of plugins that are installed outside of the marketplace. So these numbers capture those as well. What have we been doing this since the last developer life? So we've had a few releases. So with UXP 8.0.1, we enabled CORS by default on Windows web views. So this had been disabled till now, and then we uncovered a security issue because of which CORS is now enabled on Windows web views. It's always been enabled on Mac web views, but now it's enabled on Windows as well. There was a bug with the programmatic selection of text in text fields, which has been fixed with this release. Then we released 8.1.0. This had a lot of new features like resize observer, intersection observer, supporting first child and not first child pseudo selectors within the shadow DOM. And we also expanded our support for linear gradient syntax. Then, of course, we released UDT 2.1, which was there for Premiere Pro beta support. So you could develop plugins for the Premiere Pro beta application. Then the next release was 8.1.2. Here we fixed a few critical issues like cyclical redirect issues in web views, and this was a big thing that where the permission dialogues and all the variants of alerts like confirm and prompt, they were all broken whenever used within a UXP plugin that was using SWC. So that's been fixed with 8.1.2, and Photoshop 26.6 ships with it. Next, we released 8.2.0. This again had the big feature of supporting create read stream, which allows for reading large files in chunks, because currently, be it Node or UXP, we only support a max size limit of 2 GB that you can open a file. But with this create read stream support, you can open much larger files, read it in chunks, and then process those chunks. We had a lot of XML HTTP request enhancements where we added a few enums, we added a few APIs on that. And then, of course, we had a lot of file system improvements, especially with regard to special characters like pounds. So those are handled way better with UXP 8.2. And then the latest release was UXP 8.3, where we had a few stability fixes for using video widgets in UXP. And that is available with Photoshop 26.8. What's on the roadmap? So the UXP team is actively working on adding support for accessibility. It's been a big ask from a business thing, and even a lot of 3P developers have asked us for accessibility support. So that's something that should be there by the end of this year in most of the host applications. We are also working on ES6 module support. So this would, of course, simplify a lot of the plugin workflow and also enhance the usage of modules within UXP scripts, because a lot of developers have requested that they are unable to migrate to scripts primarily because of this hindrance. We plan to make a lot of drag and drop enhancements, especially when we are moving assets from somewhere outside to UXP web views. So stay tuned for those. Then, of course, the unhandled promise rejection support. So there's been a long thread on this from the forums, and we have been investigating on how best we can deal with this, because the current library that we use within UXP, the NAPI library, that natively doesn't support anything. But I think we have found a way to how do we interact with the actual V8 engine and add promise rejection handlers there. So yeah, this is again something that we are actively targeting and should be there by the end of this year. Then, of course, yeah. So this is something that I'm really looking forward to myself, because there's been a lot of clamor on the 3P forums for this feature, that how do we figure out what CSS UXP supports, or for that matter, what DOM APIs do UXP supports. So a shout out to Jada from the 3P community. He's developed a VS Code plugin which helps lint your UXP plugins. So we're going to enhance that and have probably a GitHub page, or maybe we'll figure out how do we roll this out. But there should be a very easy way to figure out what all CSS you can use in UXP. And then, of course, we are working on streamlining our documentation publishing, because there's often been this complaint from the 3P devs that when UXP releases are rolled out and when they're integrated in host applications, the documentation is still not available. And that's primarily due to an internal process limitation. So we have been working on mitigating that, and hopefully you should see very prompt documentation updates as and when UXP releases are made. So I'll yield the stage for a demo which has been created by two engineers on my team, Harshvardhan and Deepthi. So I'll just give you a brief overview of what the demo is all about. Since MCP is the flavor of the season, so we did a POC around how we could have a MCP server for UXP, where you can create plugins, debug them using the MCP server, and a combination of UDT CLI. And yeah, I'll have you watch through the demo to see what kind of plugin we were able to finally come up with.
Indranil, this is great. Thank you so much for giving this update on the UXP roadmap. Unfortunately, we are quite late with the timeline at the moment. Part of this is based on my fault as well, since I took too long for the introduction. We have a great demo from Harsh and Depti, which no one should miss, but still we will skip it for now. We will share later in the chat and run it separately, since otherwise we get too much delay in our schedule. So thank you so much. We see a lot of updates in CEP and UXP.
Developers Live. Developers Live.